behind them because they knew what kind of character Kris had. And we were looking for someone to pass the torch to begin the next campaign. And on January 8th, we had a big kickoff, and it was called Kristopher Wish from his hometown, Sarnia. And once again, we're happy to be here on day 78 at St. Paul. I want to also add, before we get to the questions, and I hope everybody's thinking about some questions. Kristopher, along the way, has met a lot of people, including the Health Minister of Ontario, George Smitherman. As a matter of fact, he met him 3 times. So, Kristopher's wish and dream is to inspire every Canadian from coast to coast to become an organ donor, so that one day we can help save the 4,000 people that are on the waiting list. Terry Fox had a similar dream. He wanted to inspire every Canadian to donate $1 so that one day a cure could be found for cancer and nobody would have to die from cancer. We're hoping to make Kristopher's wish a reality by inspiring everybody here today, and also by inspiring the provincial government and the federal government to make this issue a priority and to do everything possible to help make Kristopher's wish come true. And we're glad to say that a lot of progress has been made so far. So, now we want to find who's going to be the first brave soul that wants to ask a question to Kris. We call this up and personal, and I see a hand going up already. And what's your question? Do you know the answer to that? We've been to about 50 cities so far. I'll have to double check that, but it's around 50. We're almost finished Ontario. We got about another 15 communities, and then we're moving on to Manitoba. Question over here?
What has been Kris's most memorable experience so far?
My most memorable experience, well, I have a few. The first one was I was in Toronto at the time, and CTV was interviewing me, and he said that he had a choice of coming to my thing or going in a helicopter. And I told him, like, why didn't he go to the helicopter? But, and then he was interviewing me, and then he asked me if I wanted to go in a CTV helicopter and get interviewed live beside the CN Tower. And I said yes. And around 6 o'clock, he goes, he has to talk with his boss because because they're not allowed to let anybody up who's not working there after dark. And he called his boss, and his boss said yes. So I got to go up in the helicopter and get interviewed. And the other one was, I was in a hotel, and I had to go to the washroom. And, you know, you need privacy, so you close the door. And I couldn't get out. I got locked in there. It took a couple hours to get out. And we pretty much had the whole management of the hotel coming to try to get me out, but it wouldn't work. It was my memories. My last stop is in Toronto on December 25th. Okay, I'm going to describe my route. We're doing 76 communities in Ontario. Then we're heading out to BC, Victoria. We're going to walk there. And then we're going to fly from BC, Victoria to Toronto. We'll do a 3-week period there, and I might be able to throw a pitch at a Blue Jays game. And then we're going to fly all the way to St. John's, Newfoundland. And and walk all the way back to Toronto and be done December 25th, 2004.
I am so glad you asked that question. The question was, presently we're operating under a system called family consent. That's why we're urging people to make sure that you discuss this wish with your family, because the family's going to make the final decision. Now, unfortunately, it's a very tough time for the family to say yes at that moment, because they're in a lot of stress and discomfort, and their mind isn't really rational. And a lot of times they're not able to say yes, and there's missed opportunities, and that's happened many times already. Well, we're urging both the provincial government, sorry to put this on you, but we've been talking to Mr. Snowman about this, to see if we can look into alternative system. And one of the strongest alternative systems that we're endorsing is the one that is in Spain, where Spain recognized the importance of this issue 10 years ago. And what they developed was a system called precious consent. And after making this issue a priority, because they knew transplants were a cure, and that people that were on the waiting list could get saved if organs were being retrieved, they made this issue a priority. They developed a registry where everyone in Spain was registered as an organ donor, but they gave people the opportunity to take their names off if they didn't want to be on that list. And as a result of that system, Spain has been leading the world in organ donations for the past 10 years, and they hardly have anybody that's on the waiting list that doesn't get an organ donation. We're strongly urging both level, provincial and federal governments to look into this. Thank you for that question.
Well, like George said, when he walked through Sarnia, he met me. And he was talking about the importance of organ and tissue donation. And when he was saying that, George was the one that inspired me to do this, because it touched me when he was talking, he was saying all that stuff. Because I'm waiting for a liver, so I want to save my life, as well as save all the 4,000 men, women, and children that are on the waiting list.
Okay, about 2 months ago, Kristopher's doctor came to St. Thomas to make an announcement. And that announcement was that Kristopher, as of now, is on top of the waiting list for a liver transplant. Now, he's been on the top of the waiting list a few times before. Because of the shortage, and it's only right that the system is this way right now, if somebody just has a few days left to live, they'll move that person to the front, which they should be doing, and that person will be on the top of the waiting list. So Kristopher finds himself kind of in a catch-22 because of his spirit to live, and he doesn't show any of his illness, and he's got a serious disease, but he keeps staying relatively active and healthy, and because of that, he hasn't received, but that all comes back to, if we didn't have this shortage, he would have been receiving his liver a long time ago. And here's this